Let's recap what we discussed in the last session. We discussed about the meaning of fusion. Oracle acquired multiple products and what is the best solution out of those products. By picking those solutions, they built ultimate product called as fusion. That is the one thing we discussed. And we discussed what is the meaning of cloud. If any company wants to use Oracle Fusion applications, the one option is they can go with on-premise. In case of on-premise, they have to buy the server infrastructure, they have to take the license, they have to maintain the DBA and the network security admin team, and they should take care of server maintenance, any upgrades. Yes, they have to take care of all those. Oracle is not going to help directly. And if they are operating the business in multiple countries, in all the ways, they have to connect to the server which is located in specific country, and user experience may not be very great. So instead of buying the server license, they're all maintaining all these activities, simply a company can go with cloud. In case of cloud, they can get virtual servers from Oracle. They no need to buy any server infrastructure, no license. They can pay and they can use. Rest can be managed by Oracle. How this cloud computing works? The Oracle takes care of the virtual server availability in the nearest data centers, whatever the client has. If client is operating from India, they'll keep that virtual server to be available in the India data centers, which are managed by Oracle or maybe their partners. So that's how the cloud is different from on-premise. So servers, everything is managed by Oracle. In case of cloud, you can use it. That's all. If any company wants to use cloud applications, what are the different cloud options are available for the companies? These are the three options: SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. So you can get Fusion applications along with the SaaS and PaaS subscriptions. IaaS, just only storage space you can get, you can use for any purposes. The big difference between SaaS and PaaS is here you can do any sort of customization, but here you can do very limited customizations like reports creation and interface development with the third-party applications. And the great benefit here is you can upgrade. Your environment can be upgraded automatically. That is not possible in case of PaaS. Most of the clients are using SaaS. More than 95% clients are using SaaS. That is the reality. So these are the points we discussed in the last session. Along with that, so a few other points we discussed related to what you should call as Oracle Fusion applications and Oracle Fusion Cloud applications, or Oracle Fusion Finance and Oracle Fusion Cloud Financials. Product point of view, both are same, only based on the deployment. If you have these Fusion applications or Fusion Finance in your own server, call it as Oracle Fusion Financials. Just call it as Oracle Fusion Financials. Don't include the term called as cloud, because you are not going to use Oracle servers. If you are going to use Oracle servers, you can include the term called as cloud within the name, whatever you use. You may call as Oracle Fusion Cloud Applications or Oracle Fusion Cloud Financials. You can include the term because the applications are not deployed in your own servers. Applications are deployed in Oracle virtual servers. That is the reason this you can call as cloud. So this is how you can find the difference. The product point of view, applications point of view, the functionality, everything remains same. But based on the deployment models, you can say you have to include the cloud or you should exclude the cloud. That's all about the meaning of Fusion and cloud. Any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, this is Sridhar here. So,
Yeah. Voice
in
is
the
a little low. If possible, you can fix
okay,
it.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now better. Yeah.
Okay. So, in the past model, you said like the upgrade, you mean the quarterly patches getting applied to the instance that is not automatic. Is that what
No,
you
no, no.
mean when
That
you
is
say
there.
upgrade?
That is there. Okay, the patches and all they'll apply. So more than that, if Oracle is going to come up with the new releases and all big changes, etc. So those you cannot accommodate in the past.
Okay. So, when you say the big changes, I mean, are they not going to come as patches? Are they coming in a different
See,
manner?
these
Or,
are like quarterly patches and all is a simple things. Okay. And
right.
again, if those if there are some introducing some new functionalities, okay, are coming up with the big changes and all, then they don't apply those patches to pass. Very regular patches, what they apply to fix some bugs or to just add some small changes to some page somewhere. Yes, those can be applicable, possible. If they are going to come up with a kind of changes which will impact the standard existing standard product functionality, such kind of patches they don't do to upgrade to current to latest, past to latest.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No questions. Now, so let's talk about the environments what we get from Oracle if you are going to implement for your client. So you are going to implement Oracle Fusion applications for your client. Say your client name is XYZ Inc. If you are going to implement Oracle Fusion applications for your client, how many environments we can get from Oracle? So by default, you can get 2 environments. If you want to get more than 2, you have to pay for that. 2 environments we can get. Each environment you can call as instance or you can call it as a pod. That you can call as landscape of the environments or instances. Okay. Landscape of the instance or environments. Here you can see. As a company, if you take the subscription for Oracle Fusion, you get 2 environments. One environment we use for testing purpose that you can call as a test instance. Instance means within that you will have all the applications, including the virtual applications and virtual database. You can have all the applications that you can use for testing purpose. Before you do implementation, you have to test everything. You have to understand the business. You have to set up payables. Are you able to create invoices? Are you able to process the payments? You are able to create the suppliers, customers, bank accounts. Whatever we discussed as a part of finance, those all we have to test first and we have to show to the client. This is how you can create invoice. This is the process you have to follow to make the payment. This is how you can create the supplier, customer, bank account, your assets. This is all we have to test and we have to show to the client. For that purpose, you can use test instance. You can call it as instance, or you can call it as environment, or you can call it as a pod. Like iPod, it's very lightweight. Since the environment is cloud environments, not physical server-based environment, so those you can treat as very, very lightweight. That is the reason you can call these as a pod also. So these are the different names you can represent these environments, test instance, environment, or pod. All are same. All point to the product what you are going to use from Oracle through virtual servers. So how many environments we can get? 2 environments. One environment we can use for the purpose of testing. The other environment you can use for production purpose. you can call as production instance. What is the difference between these two environments? Say your project duration is 10 months. Around 7 to 8 months, you will be working on the test instance only. The initial 7 to 8 months, we have to work on the test instance. We have to test everything, how they are doing the business. The same, we have to create the environment in the instance, and we have to test, we have to show, and they have to accept. We have to take the approval for that. This is how we have to exercise on this test instance. If everything is fine, then the same setups we can move to production instance, and we can load their suppliers data, customers data, and other data, whatever they have to continue. Then client will start using the production instance. So production instance is the one which can be used by client to record their day-to-day business transactions. So before we keep production instance ready, we use test instance to test about their business processes and how things works within the Fusion applications. We have to test whether those are working in this instance. Another point is we have to show to the client how they are going to use this instance, and the training and all, everything can be conducted in the test instance. So these are the two key instances which we use as a part of implementation. So apart from these two, if you want to have additional instances, yes, we can have additional instances, but you have to pay to Oracle accordingly. They charge for the additional instances. Mostly you can use the additional instances for the purpose of customizations. Say your client is SaaS, software as a service. So hardly they can do the customizations like report creation or interface development. So those they can do within the test instance itself. Test instance itself, you can just create new report and you can test. You can connect one application with another applications, third-party applications. Other than Oracle, if the client is going to use any other applications, they can connect that application with this instances. We can test how the data is flowing from third party to Oracle applications. That everything you can do in the test instance. But if your client is PaaS subscribed client, you may develop few pages or altogether applications to support their business process. In that case, definitely you can go with one more instance called as development instance. To do the developments, to do the testing, you can use the development instance. In short, you can call as dev instance. The difference between test and development instance is very high level. The test instances can be used by functional consultants, development instance for technical consultants. Always test instances are used by functional consultants. Sometimes test instances can be used by technical consultants if there is no separate instance called as development instance to do some customizations. So this is the default landscape you can see in every project. The same test instance or development instance, you can call with the different names, and all those all explained as a part of the real-time classes. So when you go through those 15 hours videos, there you come across the different naming convention for these instances, but these are the standard naming conventions which you see in every project. There will be test instance. When we start working on the project, we will start with the test instance. So once solution is finalized, everything is approved by client, we'll move to the production. We will set up production ready so that client will use it. If any customizations need to be done, those can be done by technical consultants within this development instance, or else they can do in the test instance also. So once those are tested, if those are working fine, those can be moved to production. Even what are the setups we do in the test instance, all the setups we can move to production instance, then client will start using this production instance. And production instance, you can call it as a prod instance. In short, production, first 4 letters, okay, prod instance, prod environment, okay, POD pod, this is the different again. This is a prod, this is a pod. So these are the instances we can use in case of real-time implementations. And there is one more instance which you have to understand, which Oracle is providing as a vision instance. What is the purpose of this vision instance? Only the big difference between these instances and the vision instance is within the vision instance, you can find the sample data. You can have a sample data within the vision instance. You don't see any sample data in test, development, and production instances. Those are fresh instances. So you have to create everything. You cannot find any sample data. But in case of vision instance, Oracle is providing some sample suppliers, sample customers, sample invoices, sample payments, sample bank accounts, everything sample data you can see. So when we are going to learn, you may refer that. But in our classes, we are not going to refer anything. Everything we are going to create from the scratch, how we do the real implementation. And why Oracle naming it as a vision instance? The reason is the sample data, what they are providing within the instance, for the sample data, they took the company name as a vision. Since they are using the company name as a vision, the instance itself we are calling as a vision instance. These instances, Oracle doesn't provide for their kind of clients. If any company is going to use Oracle Fusion applications, they don't provide this vision instance for the clients. They provide this vision instance for their partners. They provide this vision instance to their partner. You take example, Infosys, IBM, Wipro, these all are Oracle partners, implementation partners. They implement Oracle Fusion applications for their clients. The product is owned by Oracle, but these companies are implementation partners to Oracle, channel partners you can call. So for those companies, Oracle provides these vision instances for their internal usage purpose, not for the clients. So this is what we have to understand about the landscape of the instance. This you can say landscape of the instance. So just this is for your information purpose. You don't need to take into consideration of vision instance when you talk about the real-time project. So these are the instances we have to remember. Some clients, what they can do is they can get more than 3 instances also. So what purpose we can use that I explained as a part of the real-time classes. We conduct different activities. As per those activities, the different instances can be used. But ultimately, client will use one instance, that is a production instance, for their real transactions tracking purpose. This is all about instances. Any questions from anyone, please?
Yeah, hi Lakshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, how we transfer data from test to prod means we do manually, or is there any program which we transfer data from test to prod?
There is a concept called as configuration package. We can do that. We can do that. So it's a simple task. You can extract the data from one instance. It will generate the file with the data. And the same file you can load into targeted instance. That's how you can move the settings from one to another instance. The concept name is configuration packages. I'll show you that. It's a very simple. Anyone can do that. Okay, only setup data. If you want to move the transactions data also from one instance to another instance, we have to take Oracle DBA support. We can ask them. You can raise SR, service request, saying that the data, whatever I have in so instance, please copy to another instance. Yes, they will do it for you.
Okay, and what about abbreviation of pod?
What is the
abbreviation of pod? POD.
No. There's nothing like the portable object of database. This and that all are there, but Oracle is not defining anywhere pod. You have iPod, right?
Yes.
We had iPod. The same way, this is also kind of pod, lightweight. There is no definition Oracle is giving for pod. The pod, it represents the instance, that's it, which is cloud instance.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions here, please?
So Lakshman, in the real-time implementation, in general, what is how many number of instances the client will use?
Most of the projects, 2 instances. One is test instance, other one is production. If your client is PaaS client, platform as a service, where you can do the customizations, then they may go with one more instance called as development instance. Because if we are keep doing the developments also in the test instance, the instance may get disturbed because functional people are working on this instance, same technical consultants are working for technical developments. It is not recommended to use one instance for both purposes. So that is a case where client can choose one more instance, mostly if the client is going to be PaaS client. In case of SaaS, you may do the reports and interface development, still you can use the same instance. Most of the implementations, what you work, you see 2 instances. One is test instance, other one is production. If client is opting more than 2, yes, you can use those for respective purposes.
So generally, how much they would charge if we are requesting an additional instance in general?
That depends. Okay, what are the offerings and all you are going to use for your company? They will charge accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah, because these are going to be for temporary purpose only, right? Or else you may use for long term also. Mostly you may plan to use only at the time of implementation for developments and all. In the future, if you want to do some additional developments, you may do in the test instance also. You may take the instance for temporary purpose or for long period also. That totally depends how you are planning.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Lakshman, how to get the Vision instance?
Sorry?
How to get the Vision instance?
No, partners can get it. Oracle partners.
Okay.
Companies like Wipro, IBM, Infosys, TCS, these companies, Delight, these companies can get Vision instance. Since they are partners, they provide that instance.
So for the implementation, to get the implementation project, you need to be the partner of Oracle. Then only you can get, right?
Yes. Formally, you should be a partner. Then you'll have a right to do the implementations to your customers by using Oracle product. You should be a partner to Oracle. Yes. Implementation partner.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
How many instances is used for support project, Lakshman?
Sorry?
How many instances will be using for the support project?
Support
and also
project, yeah. See, they use production. That is a real instance where they enter the data. And definitely you can have one test instance, minimum one.
Okay, and what about the cloning option? Suppose in case like we see some issue in the production instance, like so
you can write as a service request to Oracle. They will copy the data to one instance to another instance whenever you want.
Okay.
You have to write as a. So in case of EBS, right,
Yeah.
you will have your own DBA team.
Correct. So
right?
I'm from basically EBS. So we had another instance like performance.
Yeah, that's what. You can create 10 instances or 20 instances. There is no issue in EBS because everything is in your control, right?
Correct.
You can ask the DBA, they'll create instance. That's it. But in case of Fusion, you have to get from Oracle, and any DBA activity is performed by Oracle Cloud DBA team.
Okay. So even the data clone is also from
anything you call as DBA activity, this all can be done by DBA team.
Okay.
Yeah, data cloning, patching. Okay, if you want to bounce the database or this and that, anything you take into consideration, all can be done by Oracle Cloud DBA team.
Yeah, correct. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, Lakshman, I want to add a couple of things for the benefit of the team, if you're okay.
Sorry?
Yeah. No, I want to add a couple of additional points on the patching and the cloning part, if you're okay, just for the benefit of the team.
Yeah,
that is
go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Lakshman, for your time. So basically, Lakshman, I do have some contacts in SaaS operations team who are the people managing all the fusion instances across the world in probably 20 different countries. So the way somebody asked about what is pod, right? Even I did not know what is pod. I just Googled, I found out pod is nothing but a performance optimized data center they're calling, or point of delivery they're calling. So it's an encapsulation of multiple containers. Like Fusion is nothing but collection of 6 containers, one for the IDM, one for the database, one for the application server, one for BA, whatnot, right? It's about 8 containers put together a pod. So a pod will be a small section in the Exadata servers. Like in a big Exadata server, there will be like 12 to 14 racks. In the rack, they will have at least 4 pods. Each pod will have 6 to 8, the container on which database will be running in one, application will be running in another, analytics will run in another, IDM will be running another, so on and so forth, right? So point is nothing.
No, one second. I'm sorry to stop you, but this kind of more technical information is not useful for the people.
Yeah,
right?
Not needed. Yeah, that's
simple.
true.
Simple. So cloud environment we call as pod. That's more than enough. We never get it tap into the technical or just
for the audience, it's not it. Last thing is cloning is done using a request. What Lakshman said is same thing. You need to raise a request. They follow a process called P2T, production to test. Basically, they clone using some scripting methodology. I think people from Hyderabad team does it. So they call it as P2T. That can be done only by Oracle, not by anybody else. But some partners with more privileges would have a exposure to the UI where they can submit the job on time. So it'll automatically kick in and do the cloning part. So it's again in Oracle hands, as I said, not in our hands. So those are 2 things I want to just add. Thanks, Lakshman.
Oh, great. Thank you. So any other questions here, please? Great, no questions. Now, the next point is, say you are working for one of your client and you want to access to the instance. How to get access? So by default, there will be user called as FA admin. There will be user called as FA admin, which is seated user in every instance. So Oracle can provide you the password for FA admin, or else they can create separate user and they can share the credentials with your client team, or who is in touch with Oracle as a point of contact for your client. They can share the credentials to that team or specific person. Once you get the access to the instance, what we have to do as a functional consultant, we may be finance functional or SCM or any functional consultant. As a consultant, what we have to do? We create our own user and we have to assign the specific roles to that user. Here are the points I just mentioned. Okay. So you just take these points. So we have to create one user to start working on the project. That user you call as implementation user. We have to create the implementation user. This is the first step. You can create user with any name. Okay. You can create user with any name. So you may create user as ERPTREE, or you can create user with your name. Mostly if you are a finance consultant, you create user like PIMPL, something like that, or else you can go with any name. So mostly we create our users with our email ID, and we are working for the company. So with your company email ID, client may provide their officially the client email ID, or else you can use your company email ID. With that email ID, the user names can be created in the system. You can go and create. In some implementations, you don't get chance of creating your own email ID, the initial email ID. There'll be a specific point of contact. They will create email ID. They will create one user ID with your email ID. And with that, you can start working on the instance. In some implementations, whatever the credentials they get from the client, they will share with the entire team. With those credentials, you can connect to the instance and you can create your own user. When you create your own user to work as an implementation consultant, that user you can call as implementation user. To that user, you have to assign the two roles. Those are application implementation consultant is one role. The other role is IT security manager. These are the two roles you have to assign so that you can get full privileges to the entire instance to work as a functional consultant, not as a technical. These two roles will allow you to work on the instance as a functional consultant. So why we have to assign application implementation consultant role to this user? Already we discussed one point as a part of our learning. With the help of Oracle Fusion FSM, functional setup manager, you can do the setups. If you want to get access to this Oracle Fusion FSM, functional setup manager, this role is required. If you assign the role called as application implementation consultant role to your user will be able to have access to FSM, functional setup manager. Functional setup manager. If you have access to FSM, functional setup manager, you will be able to do the setups, or call it as you can do the configuration. Along with this role, we need to assign the role called as IT security manager. IT security manager. What is the use of IT security manager? If you have access to IT security manager, you will be able to create users and you can assign the roles. Here is the point already discussed. So this is all about we are referring now. Oracle Fusion IDM or Oracle Fusion OIM, Identity Manager or Oracle Identity Manager. If you want to get access to this Oracle Fusion IDM or OIM, this role is required. You have to assign the role called as IT Security Manager role so that you will be able to create the users and you can give the permission to that users with the concept called as roles. These two we call as roles. Okay. These two we call as roles: application implementation consultant, IT security manager. Within the Fusion applications, any access you want to give to any user, that is possible with the concept called as a role. If you assign the role to one user or one employee belongs to payables, the user can have access to payables application. And if you want to allow any user to have access to receivables, you have to assign the receivables role to that user. So any application you want to allow any user, the relevant roles we have to assign so that they can get access to the relevant applications. So irrespective of applications, here we are talking about one point, these two roles. These two roles required for consultant so that consultant can implement all the application or any application. And these two roles Oracle is providing, you no need to create. Oracle is delivering these two roles. Whatever Oracle provides, those we call as seeded roles. Here is the same term, seeded roles. The roles what Oracle is providing, those we call as seeded roles. Yes, we can create our own roles. If you are going to create our own roles, those we call as custom roles. We'll have one session on the custom roles. Going forward, we will have one session on the custom roles. So we will go through how just what roles Oracle is providing, how to compare one role with another role, what we have inside of the roles, how to copy and edit the Oracle provided roles, or else how to create the roles from the scratch. These all points we will discuss and we will do in the system. We will have a separate session for that. Now we are trying to understand what are the seeded roles we have to assign to our user so that we can work as a consultant. This is what we have to understand when we talk about the first step. The very first step when we are going to work as a functional consultant or any kind of consultant in any project. So we have to create our own user and we have to assign the two roles. Those are application implementation consultant and IT security manager. The application implementation consultant role will give you the access to FSM. Through that, you can do the setups. If you assign IT security manager role to any user, that will give you to access to security console. The security console is built with IDM or Oracle Identity Manager, OIM. So they build with that. It is nothing but we are going to get access to IDM or OAM so that you will be able to create the users, which user need access to what exactly within the instance, those you can set up. So this is all about the user creation in the fresh instance. In the fresh instance, you have to create your user and you have to assign these two roles. The roles purpose is this. To do the setups, this is the role is required. To manage the security, you need this role. If you have access to this role, you will be able to implement any application. Any application you can implement. It is not like for a specific application. You will get access to the entire instance to do the implementation. So this is all about user creation, what we have to do as a first step. And what about the user? This is a seeded user. In every instance, this is a seeded user. And you may get access to the same seeded user, or else Oracle may create separate user and they may share with you. With that user, you can connect to the instance and you can create your own user. When you create your own user, you need access to minimum these two roles with respect to purposes. And that's how you can create your implementation user. So this is what we have to understand about user creation. Any questions here, please? After discussing about the questions, we will see in the system how to create our own user. We'll see in the instance how to create our own user. Any questions, please?
Hi, Lakshman, this is Saurav here. So I just want to understand, like, when a new implementation project will start, so your IT team will provide you one login ID. There, after logging in with that ID, you have to create another ID called implementation user, right?
Correct. It depends on the organization. See, there may be some IT team who will help you, or else there may be directly you will get the credentials. Oracle may pass to the point of contact to your client team, specific person. That person may share those credentials to your project manager, or your project manager may share the same with you. Then you can create. Okay, or else there could be some administrator kind of role people. They may help you by creating the username for you, or else they may give you the chance by providing those Oracle provided credentials, so that by using the credentials you can create your own user. But whatever it may be the scenario, we don't need to worry about it. We get access to instance with a specific user credentials. With that, you can connect to the instance and you create your own user and you assign these two roles. That is our target.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, please?
Lakshman, is FA admin is similar to sysadmin in EBS?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, no questions. Now we'll go and see how to create our own user and how to assign these two roles. We'll see in the instance. So now we are going to use the cloud instance, that to SaaS environment. Okay, this is the cloud instance. You can see within the name that is SaaS environment. So this instance you can connect from any device. In fact, you can connect from your mobile also, smartphone. If any device is connected with internet, you can access this. No plugins, no add-ons required to connect to this instance. From any device you can connect. Now I'm going to connect to this instance by using one user. With that, we are going to create our own user. So I'll connect to this instance with the user called as cloud admin. When you are going to practice, we will share one user. With that user, you can log into the instance and you can create your user by following the process which we are going to see now. So provide username and password, sign in. So what is our target? So our target is user creation. We will understand what you see here and there on the screen later. Now our target is not understanding what all here we are able to see. That slowly we will understand one by one. Our target is user creation. To create the user, you have to click on these bar icons. This we call as navigator icons. Place the cursor. You could see that bar icons represents the navigator. Just click on this navigator icon. It will open one panel. Within the panel, go to tools. Go to tools. You click on this tool section will be expanded. Under tools, go to security console. Under tools, whatever you see, all these we call as tasks. T-A-S-K, task. So we need task called as security console. From security console, you can create the user and you can assign the roles. Okay. So go to tools, expand it. Under tools, you can find the task called as security console. Just click on security console. What you want to do in the security console? You want to create the users, select users. Now click on add user account. Click on add user account. You can create your implementation user from this page. I'll just repeat once again. Okay, I'll repeat once again from the first step. So connect with instance. Once you log into the instance, this would be the landing page, home page. Click on navigator icon. It will open one panel. Within the panel, look for tools section, expand it. Under tools, you can find the task called as security console. Click on security console. Now in the left panel, select users. Click on users and you are in the user creation page. To create the new user, you can click on add user account. Now, whatever the user I used to connect to this instance, that user also created in the same page. Cloud admin. You can search and find the same user, whatever I used to connect to this instance. We want to create our own user. Let's see how to create it. Click on add user account. I want to create the user called as ERPTREE. You see here, there is a field called as first name, last name, email ID, but only last name is mandatory. If you want to provide the data for every field, you can provide, or else which is mandatory, you can provide. That's how you can create your own user. I'm just giving the last name and use tab. It will copy that last name as a username. If you are okay with the same name, accept it, or else you can override. You can change this. And before we go and set the password and confirm the password, assign the roles. If you set the password and if you try to assign the roles, the password will get disturbed. That is the reason what you can do is you assign the roles, or else do one thing. First, you complete the user creation. Later, you can assign those two roles to this user. Let's create user first, then we can assign the roles as a second step. So when you look at the password policy, here you can see the password policy, what it says. You can set what should be the password policy in your instance. You can set it. We will see that also. As of now, the default policy, what you could see is, it's very simple. at least 8 characters, one number should be part of the password. Okay, at least 8 characters and one number. This is a password policy. By following the same, set the password for this user. Confirm the same password. If you want to assign the roles, click on add roles and you can assign. We will see that later. Now click on save and close. Find out the same user. Search. Here is the user, whatever we created, the display name, username. Yes, we didn't provide any email ID. And status. Status is active, the user is active. The user account is locked? No. The user account is not locked. If this user account is locked, you cannot connect to the instance with this user. With ERPTRee user, you cannot log into the instance if the account is locked. And you can perform certain actions on this user account. What you can do, we can see. Click on this drop down. If you want to lock this account, you can lock so that this user cannot connect to the instance. The second action is reset password. If you want to change the password for this user, yes, you can do it. And delete user. Deleting user is not recommended, but how it works. Say, for example, you created ERPTRee user, you did some setups, you recorded some transactions also. If you want to delete, yes, system will allow you. It will allow you to delete the user only from this page, not from the database. The database username will remain as it is. And for the transactions, what you recorded with this username, the setups, what you did with this username, the history can be available with this username. Only from this page, this user will not be displayed. This user display will be deleted from this page, not more than that. In the database, the username will remain same, but this user will not be available to connect to the instance or to use the instance. It will be lying in the database to display the reference of past records, what activities are done by this user, what setups are done by this user, what transactions are performed by this user. To capture that information, this user name will remain in the database, but this user cannot be identified from this page by searching. And you cannot create one more user with this name. The reason, this user, even if you are deleting, this user will be partially deleted from this page, not completely from the database. That is the reason, with the same username, you cannot create one more user. That's all about deletion. If you want to compare this user with another user, the compare means it's all about roles. You may assign few roles to this user and you have one more user with certain roles. You want to compare how these two users are different. If you want to do the comparison, you can compare. You can compare one user with another user. That's all about compare user. Copy user. Say you created ERPTRee user and you assign, say, 10 roles. Discussed about 2 roles, but just for example, say you assign 10 roles. You want to create similar user, which user required 10 roles. So instead of assigning 10 roles again and one by one, what you can do is simply you can copy this ERPTRee user, you change the name, the roles whatever assigned to this user will be copied to new user. That's how you can use the copy user functionality. Okay. So when you are practicing, please don't log the account which I am sharing with you for your practice purpose. Please don't test log or something else with the user names which I am providing. Whatever the user you get from our team, use those user to log into the instance, then create your own user. If you want to exercise anything related to this, you try with those users. Please don't log or reset the passwords for the users what we are going to share with you for our practice purpose. So please make a note of that. If you want to reset the password, select reset password. Say manually change the password and you can enter new password and confirm the same. Click on reset password. This is how you can change the password for any user. Now, we'll see how to assign the roles to this user. This user is just empty user. Okay, no privileges. No privileges this user has. If you log into this, you can log into the instance with this user, but you cannot do anything. You cannot do anything since no roles are assigned to this user. We'll go and assign these two roles. What are those? Application implementation consultant and IT security manager, so that you can start working as a consultant. So just click on display name, or you can click on username. There are no roles assigned to this user. Click on edit. And here is the tab called as add role. Click on add role. Which roles we have to assign? Application implementation consultant, the IT security manager role. Search for application implementation consultant role. Application implementation. No need to type the full name application implementation consultant, just type application implementation. Application implementation. Now you can notice there are few roles which are similar to application implementation consultant role. Here you see application implementation administrator. Here is the application implementation consultant and application implementation manager. These are the three roles. So somebody copied those roles. You can see that is ending with a suffix as a copy, and a copy, something different you can see. But you count here three roles we have. So application implementation administrator, consultant, and manager. If you look at application implementation administrator, again we have two copies. There is slight difference within the role code. So under application implementation application implementation administrator, you have like ASM application implementation. Here ORA ASM application. With the two different role codes, same role is available twice. You can choose any one of the role. Doesn't make any difference. Anyone you can choose. But here our target is application implementation consultant. So application implementation consultant role will have a full privileges more than administrator and manager. If you assign administrator or manager, you will have access to limited privileges. You will have access to limited privileges. If you assign application implementation consultant role to your user will have a full privileges. This is a point you have to understand. So this is what we have to understand about the roles. Okay, don't assign administrator and manager, not required. If you assign application implementation consultant role to your user will have a full privileges to do the setups. So here we have two roles, application implementation consultant, application implementation name is same, but two definitions are there with role codes are different. The role codes are different. Anyone you can choose. If you find any role with the two copies, always you prefer to select ORA. There is slight difference you will come to know when we deal with a relevant topic. Mostly that topic is custom roles. When you deal with the custom roles, I'll show you the proof also, not only just discussing, I'll show you the proof how these two are different. If one role is starting with the code as ORA, another role is not starting with ORA, how these two are different, we will discuss. But as of now, try to understand both are same. Inside of these two roles, you will have the same privileges. What you see inside of this first role, the same you can see in this second role also. Now we are going to assign which role? Application implementation consultant. So select first one and click on this role. The role can be selected. Now click on add role membership. Add role membership is nothing but assign role to user. click on add role membership. It is assigned in the background. You can see application implementation consultant. The role is assigned. Now we have to assign one more role, that is IT security manager role. Let's assign IT security manager. So this is a role we have to assign. Select IT security manager. The role code is starting with ORA, and this is somebody copied. You can see they copied and they just kept a note as do not use. So select IT security manager and click on add role membership and click on done. So we assign two roles, application implementation consultant and IT security manager. Two roles we assign. Now you can say save and close. Just click on save and close, click on done. So this is how you can create user and you can assign the roles called as application implementation consultant and IT security manager. Now we'll go and verify within the instance because of these roles what we can access. Okay, what we can access, we will go and check. Because of this application implementation consultant role, this ERPTREE user should be able to get access to FSM, functional setup manager. Will go and verify this ERPTREE user is able to access to FSM or not. Because of IT security manager, this user should get access to security console, which is nothing but Oracle IDM related framework or OIM, Oracle Identity Manager related framework, which is nothing but security console. These two we will go and verify. Before we go and check in the system, any questions on this point, please?
Alex,
Any
can you
questions
go
from
to
anyone, please?
can you go to that user screen once again?
No, don't refer anything in the user screen. There are many points which we are going to discuss. Okay, not in one go. There is a time. So whatever we discussed and we have seen, any questions, let me know.
I have a quick question, please. Can you only have one implementation user at a time, or can you have more than one?
Multiple. Reality, we create multiple users. If there is a 10 members team, we create 10 implementation users, one for finance, one for SCM, one for procurement, rest for different consultants.
Thank you.
You can proceed with one also. The challenge is what happens is, say you and me and someone else also using the same user. Somebody did mistake. How you can detect? Because we three are using same user, right? If you do some mistake in the system, we have a provision. You can go and verify which user did this mistake.
Okay.
Which user did so and so setup or some activity. You can track. Since three employees or three consultants are using the same user, now we cannot figure out who did mistake or who did something. That is the reason always we use unique users for every consultant.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, please?
Yeah. So to create any user or to save any setups, do we need any approval? Like any approval system is there?
Not required. Not required. For user creation, no approvals. Reality, what happens is, as a part of implementation, we'll have a full privileges. As a consultant, we can do anything. Once implementation is done, the company follows approval process. Once implementation is done, they will set up somebody as an administrator or security team, they can name it. Then if any new user need to be created, so somebody has to raise a request, it has to go to multiple people for approval. Finally, it goes to somebody, that person will go and create the user within the instance. So that's how the user provisioning and the user creation takes place in the companies, client cases.
Thank you.
As a part of implementation, no standard process. We need full privileges. You should be able to create whatever you want to create. Once implementation is done, they can follow their system or process. Any other questions, please? No questions. Now we'll connect to the instance as ERPTREE user, and we will check this user is able to access to FSM because of this role is assigned. And this user is able to access to security console to create the users and assign the roles because we assigned IT security manager role. We'll go on to review this. So sign out from the current user. Now log in as a ERPTREE user. First, I want to check whether this user got access to FSM or not. How to check? Click on username. Here is the username. Click on this username. The panel will open. Within the panel, you can see one task. Everything we call as a task. This is all we call as a different tasks. So within the panel, you can find one task called as setup and maintenance. If you are able to see setup and maintenance in this panel, it means you got access to FSM, functional setup manager, from where you can do the setups or implementation. So click on setup and maintenance. So this is a FSM homepage. This is FSM, functional setup manager homepage. If you want to implement financials, yes, you can implement from here itself. What you can do is you can select financials from this drop down. You can select which application you want to implement. You want to implement general ledger. Select general ledger. Do these setups. You can keep general ledger ready. You want to implement payables application. Select payables. Do these setups. Your payables would be ready. You want to implement fixed assets. Select fixed assets. Do these setups. Your fixed assets would be ready. In the same way, receivables and different applications. Fusion tax, cash management. You select these and you can do the relevant setups, and that's how you can complete the setups. Any application related setups you can do from here. If you want to implement procurement, select procurement. So within the procurement, these are the different applications. Okay. So you select specific and you can do the setups. That's how you can complete the setups. You are able to access to this page means you have access to application implementation consultant role. The application implementation consultant role is allowing us to have access to this page. So that's all about the application implementation consultant role. If you don't have access to application implementation consultant role, when you click on this username, here you don't find setup and maintenance task. If you don't see setup and maintenance task in this panel, it means you don't have access to application implementation consultant role. So this is a point which you have to notice. Later we'll discuss many other relevant points also. And next one, we'll go and check whether this user got access to security console to create the users and to associate the roles to those users. We will check. We assign the role called as IT security manager that should allow the user to have access to security console to take care of this administration kind of activities, users and security. Let's see that. How to verify? Click on the navigator. Within the navigator, go to tools section, expand tools. Under tools, if you see the task called as security console, it means you got access to IT security manager role. If you don't assign IT security manager role to this ERPTREE user, the ERPTREE user cannot see the task called as security console. Now just click on security console. Just click on security console. From ERPTREE user, we are going to create one more user. Go to users, same process. Already we have seen. Maybe XYZ user. If you want to assign the roles, you can assign. Just save and close. See, we are able to create the user from ERPTREE user. We are able to create the new user. And if you want to assign the roles, yes, roles also you can assign. It means the ERPTREE user got access to FSM and the security console. So this is what we have to verify. If you have access to say IT security manager, you can create users and you can assign the roles. If you have access to application implementation consultant role, you can get access to FSM and you can do the setups. This is what we have to understand. There are a few more points which you have to understand related to implementation user, how to set the password policy or user creation rules. And there are a few other relevant points also. We will discuss all those. For now, this is what we have to understand. Any questions here, please? Yeah.
So any user we are creating, for that we need to keep records, right? Through a manual tracker or something.
Not as a part of implementation time. Now, see, when we start with implementation, we create users for only consultants. Later, you may create a few users for business users who are working as accountants in the company. We have to maintain the track record and all. We have to capture whatever you create in the production instance. For this test instance, what you create, it is not mandatory. If you want to track all the users, what you are creating, what roles you are assigning, yes, you can capture in the spreadsheet. Otherwise, it is not mandatory. But whatever you are going to do in the production, you have to capture everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, good morning, Lakshmanji.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah. So actually, what if the security console option is restricted in the tool panel, Lakshmanji? Like if you are using the X organization's interface related to this vision interface, so in that
very simple. If IT security manager role is assigned to any user, that user will get access to security console. That would be displayed under tool section within the navigator. That's how it works.
okay, if no security console option is open, we cannot create any users or anything else like
That's
that.
it. That's it. Only security console will allow you to create the user. Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other questions?
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah. Hi. Please.
Balaji. Actually, for users, we have the different actions like delete user lock account. Can you disable that functionality for specific users, depending upon the use?
No. Listen, one thing here is very important. You are a consultant. You can see all this. The user cannot. The people who are going to work on the system as accountants and all, they cannot get access to the security console. Okay. This page can be accessed by consultants or administrator from the client team. If you have 100 users, 100 users will not have access to security console. Okay, that is reason you don't need to restrict to any user. You are not allowing any one user also to perform it other than administrator. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So that is reason no restrictions required. Who has rights, they can have access to that. Rest of all users, just they can connect to the instance. If they are working on the payables, they create invoices and payments. If they are working on the receivables application, they'll create those. They cannot have access to this page. This user patient page, they cannot access. This is admin part. Since we are going to work as a consultant, we are going to learn end to end. But business users will not get access to this page.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions? Right, seems no questions. So I'm stopping here for today. In tomorrow's session, we'll see how to set the password policy and a few other points we'll discuss about user. Once we are done with that, so to do any setups in the system, we create implementation project. We create implementation project and we have to understand few more points related to FSM. Okay, we'll talk about FSM, what we can do within the FSM, how to create the implementation project, what are the points need to be considered when you create implementation project, so that we can start doing the setups in the system environment. We are going to discuss all those points in the tomorrow session. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back. We will discuss. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time. Thank you all.